Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission. It's Thursday, September the 2nd, 2021 at 6 p.m. We're in the Carrabelle City Hall chambers, and we will open with a prayer by Commissioner Allen, and then I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll stand.
Our Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we have this opportunity to come together tonight to do things that would be beneficial to our wonderful city that you've given us. We ask you to be with us in all wisdom and understanding, that which we accomplish might be in harmony with your will and would be for the betterment of our community. We ask this in the name of your Son, our Savior, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everyone. I just want to thank you all for silencing your phones and remind anyone who wishes to speak during the public comment section and or during any portion of the agenda, you will need to complete a speaker card and submit that to administrative staff for recognition at the appropriate time. And all public comments are kept to a maximum of 3 minutes with a one-time visit to the podium. And we have some ground rules written on that, and if you'd like a written copy of that, you can get that from staff as well. So we'll move on to the consent agenda for the July 1st, 2021 regular meeting minutes and attorney's invoices for July. August, excuse me? August, sorry. And what? August 5th meeting minutes. August 5th meeting minutes and attorney's July invoices. And did everyone get a chance to review those? Do we have a motion concerning that?
I move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, and that motion is by Commissioner Allen, second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. Okay, commissioners' reports. Ms. Commissioner Brown, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Okay. Commissioner Allen?
Not at this time.
All right. And Commissioner Mathis?
I have none.
Okay. Commissioner Melander?
Yes, Mayor, just real quick, just to reiterate, now that the 3 flagpoles are completely in, just awaiting flags to arrive, new flags. They look great at both the cemeteries and here at City Hall, and thank all involved that participated in the installation of the flagpoles. They look good.
Okay, very good. I'm glad. Thank you for heading up that project. And then we'll move on the CRA district. We're going to be putting some 5 military flagpoles there with a new American flagpole. Okay, I do have a report as usual. And I just want to report that on August the 25th, the City Commission held its 2021-2022 General Fund and Water and Sewer Budget Workshop. And I want to take this opportunity to public announce the City Commission has agreed in principle to adopt the rollback rate of 8.38 mils for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. The rollback rate means the City General Fund will receive the same amount of ad valorem revenues or property taxes in the upcoming fiscal year that have been received in the current year. Because property values are somewhat higher this year, city ad valorem revenue projections for the 21-22 fiscal year were also somewhat higher, using the millage rate of 9. And knowing a millage rate of 9 would actually increase property taxes, and understanding that the city is capable of operating next year with the same revenues as received this year, I advised the clerk in advance of the August 25th workshop that I would request to use the rollback rate of 8.38 during the budget workshop. Clerk Messer then developed a preliminary budget for presentation at the August 25th workshop using the 8.38 rollback rate to calculate our projected 2021-2022 revenues. And during this workshop, the commission reviewed the upcoming state requirement that gradually increases minimum wage to $15 an hour by the year 2026, which is to begin on September the 30th this year. It will go from $8.65 an hour to $10. I presented a spreadsheet showing how this new mandate will affect next year's budgets and budgets over the next 6 years. So keeping this requirement in mind, this commission, all of us, worked together and took a good long look at the clerk's proposed budget. And with the help of all the department superintendents who attended the workshop, we were able to whittle away at some of the budget line items in each department to allow for a $1 per hour wage increase for all job positions, and to keep wages commensurate with the required minimum wage increase. All this now while keeping the rollback rate for next year at 8.38 mils. So over the last 7 years, the City Commission has adopted a millage rate of 9. The last time the millage rate was anywhere near the rate of 3.38 was in fiscal year 2012-2013 when the millage rate was 8.27. And I thank Clerk Messer for agreeing to use the rollback rate. I thank the department superintendents for attending the workshop to help us work through the process. And I appreciate and thank all the commissioners for their detailed review of the proposed budget, taking time that day to go over the budget and making workable suggestions, and for being good stewards of the city's assets without having to increase our property taxes next year. And so thank you all very much. And then during the month of August, we had 2 major storm warnings here in Carrabelle and Franklin County, and with Tropical Storm Fred making landfall the closest to Carrabelle on August the 16th at Cape San Blas. So in preparation for Tropical Storm Fred, the weekend before it came in on Monday, all the city departments checked off the items on their hurricane preparedness checklist. They all remained on standby over the preceding weekend, and all departments, including City Hall, remained open and on duty on the day of landfall. And I appreciate this as well, and it's great work and dedication to the city and its citizens, and thank all the staff. And I want to wish everyone a happy Labor Day weekend, including the attorney. And we're going to move on to his report now.
All right, actually, I do not have a report. I think there's a couple things on the agenda or public comment that may come up, and I'll address those at that time.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, Ms. Courtney.
I just want to give you guys an update on our derelict vessel grant that we received from FWC. Last month during the City Commission meeting, we opened the bids for that grant, and our low bid came in quite a bit higher than what was approved on the grant. So we went back to FWC, and they gave us an amendment, and they raised the price up to the $89,378. That was the low bid, and they extended the time frame out to December the 15th. So we've just this evening sent the contractor a contract to sign. He has asked that he be able to hold off until after the peak hurricane season, which we looked up and was, yeah, August and September is the peak. So as long as he gets started by, mid-October, he should still have plenty of time to complete the grant by December the 15th. So we're moving forward with that, and that's all I have for my report. If you have any questions.
Nice. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much, and then we'll move on to the city clerk.
I've got some dates to announce, so get your calendars out. I don't know if we'll have a planning and zoning meeting yet, but it would be September 16th at 2 o'clock. I haven't received anything for the agenda, but it's not deadline yet. We have a September the 14th is going to be a special meeting for the second reading of the ordinance that we're reading tonight. for the CRA extension and expansion. That's at 4:30. We have our first budget hearing, September 14th at 5:01. September 21st, we have a CRA meeting at 1:30. And September 27th at 5:01 is our final budget hearing. So, at 5:01, yes.
What was the last day?
September 27th.
Okay, do you have anything else, Ms. Keisha?
No, that's
Do you all have questions for our clerk, Messer? Okay, and we will move on here to Enovia's report.
All right, thank you. First, our DOT Small Communities Outreach Project, The Hill. We did receive the additional survey all the way to Gulf Avenue from Thurman, and we've included that in the design. So now we have a complete roadway design from US 98 all the way to Gulf Avenue. That design is complete, and we're sending that to DOT and out for their review, and then out to the contractor for pricing, and that would be executed as a change order to the contractor. And we do have a meeting with the property owner tomorrow regarding a small drainage easement near Avenue E. All right, secondly, on our DOT Small Communities Outreach Project, that's Baywood Drive. I did check the website today, and it does not appear that Carrabelle made the list that I see. I'll follow up with them to confirm, and I'll coordinate with Courtney about a reapplication for that project, if that's the desire of the city. Okay, on our Marine Street CDBG project, the environmental review is being conducted by Fred Fox, letting in February 2022, and we're assisting Fred Fox with household surveys. That goes in as part of the grant program. On the CDBG disaster recovery grant, that's for the sewer I&I. We're continuing to assist Fred Fox with that effort. Okay, on our Lighthouse project, we held the pre-bid conference on the 17th of August. However, there was low participation at that, and that was a mandatory pre-bid conference. So we were able to tell that there was low participation. So discussed that with Courtney, and we made the decision to re-advertise that project to try to get more participation. We thought that's important to get the best bid price. So we re-advertised that, included an additional circulation in Panama City. We do have some additional interested contractors, and they have picked up plans. So we have a new pre-bid conference on September the 10th at 2 o'clock, and I'll send out a link to that virtual meeting to Courtney and whoever is interested in joining. And then the bids are due on September 23rd at 2 p.m.
And is that going to be a public bid opening?
That'll be a public bid opening here at City Hall. Yes. Okay, can I answer any questions?
Do y'all have questions?
It's the 27th, this month or next?
I'm sorry, the 23rd of September,
23rd.
yes, at
Okay.
2 o'clock.
Okay, and
Oh, I see, there it is.
I do have a couple of questions. Mr. Kai, I can't remember his name. My
Kyle?
goodness. Yes, Kyle.
Yes.
He came to our CRA meeting, then he
Yes.
let you know that we have on our projects list for the CRA is to complete that resurfacing of Southeast 9th Street.
Yes,
And so you've got the design and the survey ready?
yes.
Okay, all right. Thank
Yes,
you
we did.
very much.
Yes, we
I
did.
appreciate that. Okay, then, but more concerning is this Baywood Drive. It is a horrific frightening condition. And, you know, that you brought it up and we can speak about it. This is the only time I can speak about it with the commissioners, and they know it's in an awful condition. And if you resubmit for a grant application, what is the timeline on the next?
I will find out. I don't know the answer to that right away. And I'll ask for some advice from the folks there in their office, what we can do to make it more competitive. You know, and we did submit the photographs and showed the flooding issues there with our application initially, but I'll talk to them. Maybe breaking it up into phases is an option to make it more competitive.
Okay.
Something of that nature, but
I mean, just to
yeah.
get around that first corner there,
Right.
the main corner that, I mean, it's washed out. I don't even know how they're driving across there
Right.
now.
right.
And it's probably got water standing in it right now from the last rains that we had a couple of days ago. And it's bad. And if we can't get anything, and even if we got this grant, it might be a year and a half before we would break ground. So we need to try to, I'm just throwing something out here, commissioners. We need to try to figure out something where I don't know if we're gonna have to put a temporary road or lime rock over, I just have no idea out there where it's making that sharp turn and it's washed out so terribly bad.
And Dustin did say that he dumped some lime rock into some of the washouts, and he was gonna put some milling in. The county was bringing over some milling, so maybe that'll help. But maybe Russell needs to also look at the drainage, because, if we could get the drainage issue taken care of, then we could repair the road, and the repairs would probably stay.
Hold up. But
Right.
it's turning, two lakes are turning into one
Right.
via the road.
Yeah.
Right, and
So-
depending on where it rains, that water moves in one direction or the other. So it really needs an equalizer type
What's
cross
hap-
drain.
What's happening from a layman's perspective is the water's not going anywhere.
Yeah, right.
And everybody's
The
yard.
natural drainage,
Right.
for some reason, is not accommodating, and the water's standing there. And our repairs, like any repairs, especially on an unpaved road, or even on a paved road, if there's water standing in it, a repair don't stay
Right.
very long.
Right.
And that would help us a tremendous amount.
Mhm.
Now, so I'm going to reiterate what the administrator said is I think we really need to somehow address that drainage issue to where our work on the road won't be in vain.
And we suspect that the drainage has been probably filled in on private property, so it's no longer draining naturally like it used to. But that's
'Cause there are
our
little lakes
suspicion,
all
we don't
around.
know
Uh-huh.
that. but-
Right, right.
And as far as the grant, I support what the mayor has to say. If there's any way to, on the current application, to encourage, promote, et cetera. And if that's not a possibility, when can we jump back in there again?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
And I agree with that. So, and we need grant money. We don't have the money to do that road.
And what was I can't remember, your cost estimate for that road was like 1.5?
1.5 or 1.7, somewhere in that range. Yep.
And we just,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no money, but we have a responsibility to provide these people that live out there with a safe way back and forth. I don't know if school buses are going out there or not, but it's becoming serious.
One thing I might look at is at that specific location, and just see what could possibly be done there as a temporary measure to maintain the access coming and going. Yeah.
And just to reiterate, Russell, I think what you'll find is that water's not going anywhere. It's just, I've looked at it numerous times during periods like we have right now that it's very wet, and it's just, each side, that culvert, it's just sitting there. It's
Right.
not going anywhere.
Right, and I think raising the elevation of the roadway through there is part of the answer.
Well, and you may be right, you're the engineer, but I see raising the elevation of the road, if you're open underneath that road and your water's on both sides at the same level, there's nowhere for it to go.
Right.
That's, the administrator referred to something that didn't really want to get into, but the natural, and I said that, the natural drainage, from what I can see, is not letting the water go where it's supposed to go.
And not just in that area, but
Yeah.
all back down towards
Right.
Highway 67. The water's just hanging out in the ditches and just getting higher and higher. And I mean, you're driving.
I'll take a look at that
Okay.
downstream area also.
There's-
And there may be a remedy related to that.
There's one major creek, if you haven't looked at it, it's beyond Baywood Drive. If you go beyond Baywood Drive, traveling north on 67 and come to the first guardrails, there's a
Mhm,
culvert there.
mhm.
It's moving there. It's moving strong there. And this water we're talking about on Baywood supposed to go to
In that direction.
So,
Thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner Millender. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Russell, and thank you, Courtney. Are there any other items for Russell today? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank you.
very much. Okay, then we have the report submitted by Carrabelle Waterfront Partnership, and I'll just call your attention to that they received their $15,000 Heritage Education Grant, and they're beginning work on that, using that money to develop a new exhibit on the shipwrecks of Dog Island, which is a good thing. And have you received yet back? You haven't received that piece that we retrieved off of McKissick Beach?
We're trying to find out what status it's in.
Okay.
And get the promise, they promised us if it was fixed, that we would get it back.
Okay. And you'll be able to use that in your exhibit?
If they give it back, we're asking for a lot of things.
Okay.
We just discovered they have a lot of things that fit in our exhibit that we're going to borrow.
Uh-huh.
So we're still intending to get those things.
Well, that one belongs to you now.
I know.
Okay.
That's what I told them.
All right. Okay, and then the Carrabelle Airport Advisory Board has submitted their report as well, and I'll just call to your attention that their last sentence on their report says, "The drainage ditches are clogged and not draining properly," and they are flooded up out there as well. So, just to bring that to your attention. Of course, those ditches, we don't have people and school buses trying to go across them, but they're watered down at the end of one end, the west end of the runway. Southwest is just, a lake is happening down there.
We have major
So-
beaver dams everywhere.
Oh, and that could be, we could have,
Could be.
mm-hmm. All
there's
right,
some that right up the street here.
yeah. You got one in your yard?
Almost.
Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to the public hearing now, the first reading on ordinance 484, and Mr. Hartman will read that for us. And there'll be no action tonight because that is a first reading.
Right, and this is just first reading of ordinance number 484, an ordinance of the City of Carrabelle, Florida, extending the existence of the City of Carrabelle Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA, and related plan for 30 years from February 1, 2022 through February 1, 2052, expanding the CRA, its boundaries, and adopting a modified community redevelopment plan pursuant to Part 3 of Chapter 163 Florida statutes and providing for an effective date.
Okay, and everyone understands then that this is the first reading of a new ordinance extending the existence of the Carrabelle Redevelopment, Community Redevelopment Agency for an additional 30 years, and then also expanding the boundaries, which we worked on during several workshops, have seen maps, and the map was even published in the newspaper. So, and then we'll have that second reading on September the 4th. Is that correct, Ms. Keisha? 14th, September the 14th. Okay. All right, so next we have new business, and we have a presentation of the Carrabelle Economic Development Strategy for 2021 that we all worked together over the winter on. And Ms. Carolyn Smith sent us a notice today that she's ill, and I would ask for this item to once again be tabled to the October meeting.
Make a motion to table it.
Second.
Okay, and that's by Commissioner Millender, a motion to table, second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And the motion carries. Okay, item 2 is discussion and possible action regarding the New River Landing, and this is requested by Mr. Christopher Shear of McDowell Housing. And Mr. Shear and Mr. Hartman have talked this afternoon, and Mr. Hartman has a report on that.
Mr. Shear contacted me and asked that this item be withdrawn from the agenda, but just certainly worth discussing was this, that the purpose of it being on the agenda was that they had run into construction cost problems, that the existing plan for the site of 30 single-family homes was potentially not viable financially, and wanted to discuss with the commission the possibility of doing a different style development. And I had talked to him, I had talked to individually some of the commissioners, and had expressed some of the issues that would present of doing essentially a garden-style apartment of 2 or 3 stories. And I believe he did talk to at least the mayor directly about it. And as a result of all those conversations, it was, and I certainly expressed it to him, that the city was more inclined to stick to what we had originally agreed to in the contract, that the garden-style apartments might be a harder project to move forward with the city, and what it would require was a land use and zoning change. So it wasn't, he could not do that as of right. So with all this swirling, he asked to withdraw it. What's coming up is the closing date on the contract. And what he mentioned 2 things. One was that he could go ahead and close on the property for the very low purchase price and basically sit on it, hoping that the economics of the project come in line. Or we could do, we talked about, or doing an extension of the contract. And he proposed 4 months to see basically what the economy's doing and if construction costs and things like this come back in line. And what I had told him that I would report to the commission on this and recommend that we do a 4-month extension of the contract. In my opinion, and certainly want to hear the commission's input on this, that having them close on the property but not start construction could lead to some friction between the city and them, because we expect something to be done with the property because we're selling it. You know, certainly expect the demolition of the structure out there, but also, you know, we're looking at this project to move ahead. We don't want someone just getting a good deal on 10 acres at the city's expense and the building not being torn down and the project not moving forward. So, but we have a contract, so it is a binding contract. So I would ask the commission under this item to approve, I believe it was the mayor, Courtney, who's signing those contracts and addendums? Was it the mayor or yourself? I think it was
I can't remember.
the mayor, but maybe authorizing the mayor or the city administrator to sign a 4-month, to extend the contract, to sign a 4-month extension, so we don't, and we can deal with this again in 4 months if needed. Any thoughts?
I have a question. So is he anticipating the economy changing enough that in 4 months, if this goes through, that he would be able to start on the current plan? Or is he asking for more time to come up with a new plan?
And this is just my impression from well, no, I should say my impression. It's clear. It's the original plan, single-family homes, that in 4 months, he will have a better idea on whether
If
it's
doable.
economically viable for him to proceed with under that plan. So I think, and again, it's a little, and it certainly, it's an item on the agenda. When I say withdrawn, I guess we're still talking about it, which is fine. It's not, I mean, he's just not we don't get his input. But it was my distinct impression that the garden-style apartment, 2-3-story walk-up style of development was something that the city was not, we weren't real motivated to change the land use, change the zoning to allow that type of project to go ahead on that site.
It's not what we negotiated.
It's not.
That's not, you know.
Not what I remember.
Or no.
Yeah.
It was single-family units. He did express to me that even as important, or maybe even now more important, is the fact of trying to get contractors. He says that building the individual units, housing units, and you can see what they look like. He presented the same plan, floor plan, as what's happening out at Jordan Bayou. That's what we were expecting on the old former City Hall property. But he says he'll contract with a certain contracting company to do 3 or 4 houses, and they'll lay the foundation, you know, get it dried in, and then it comes time for the electricians, say. And the original contractor has to leave, then come back to do the sheetrock and close it in. And he has a difficult time getting them to come back. And they may be coming from somewhere else. So he's working out an agreement with a contractor out of Mexico Beach, but it's not final. And he believes that he can get those folks to you know, fulfill the project here like we agreed to in the first place, instead of having to change the land use, do rezoning, and have something different that we didn't agree on in the first place.
And that was signed by the mayor.
Okay, very good. So, on the extension issue, what I would ask would be direction from the commission. A 4-month is what he had asked for, which I think is fine. I mean, I don't,
And I think our contract due date is in October, is that correct?
maybe the should I have it in front of me?
Shortly.
But Shortly,
Very
it's short, it's coming up, it's
I
right
was
on top of
thinking
us.
Any minute.
Yeah.
October, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I personally would,
September 30th.
well, yeah, okay. I would agree to a 4-month extension. I think that'd be reasonable.
I think it would too, and we have a heads up now. We can be thinking about
Yeah,
this.
And seriously, I still have good hopes for it, but, yeah. And I would like to see them succeed, both for themselves and for the city of Carrabelle. So,
And now, they won't have property management on site, but the property manager will be located in the big community clubhouse style building at Jordan Bayou will manage this property as well. So would you like to make a motion
Oh,
on that,
yes,
Commissioner
I'll make a
Miller?
motion that we honor the requests or the desires of the company to extend the contract 4 months.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Will you authorize me to sign that extension?
And authorize
Okay.
the mayor to sign the new contract.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. And I heard, okay, so that was by Commissioner Millender, the motion, and second by Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Mathis.
That's 4.
Double second.
Okay, so we all agree. But all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. All right, and then item 3, under new business, would be discussion and possible action regarding the high water bill that's requested by Ms. Marilyn Howard, and Mr. and Mrs. Howard are with us here this evening, so if you would like to come forward and just give us a little explanation of your request.
I'm not real good at speaking in public
Okay.
places.
But just announce your name for the
Okay.
record, because this is being recorded.
I'm Marilyn Howard,
Okay, very good.
and I'm here regarding a water bill that was left unpaid for almost a year. But when I came to the city and applied for the water to be hooked on at this rental property, I have prepared some paper here, if I could pass them out to everybody to explain. Just They do? Okay. First of all, the mailing address was to me, Marilyn Howard, 2722 Highway 98 West, Carrabelle. That's my home. The rental place was 208 West 4th. And there was no one living there. So, meanwhile, we have another rental in Crawfordville, that caught on fire, and we worked up there for 7 months. We'd leave in the dark, come home in the dark. On the weekends, we'd go to Home Depot and Lowe's. I'm sure everybody knows about that scenario. But we would go by the mailbox and check, and there was no mail in there, just pamphlets that she had left. Didn't stop the mail on her part, Marcia Litton. So when I got this bill, when we rented the house in July of this year, the new tenant moved in, and I had already called for a final. We didn't get a bill. I came back, I think twice down here to City Hall, and I talked to someone in charge of the water department and over the phone, and she said that my bill was extremely high. I had no idea it was going to be $600 or $700. And there was water, 6 months that the water was not used, but I was charged late fee, water, the minimum on the water bill, and sewer. So that's how it accumulated. And with my knowledge of not getting a bill, I thought that charge was being taken from my deposit. We live and have a well, so we don't pay for water where we live, and we sure don't have sewer. We have a septic. So the sewer and water combined amounted to quite a large amount. So on the paperwork, when I got the bill, I went through and added up the usage, and I took off all the late fees because I was not getting a bill. The bill was being, I guess, sent to the 208 address, and everyone knows that if a house is vacant, people just get in their mailbox and they take what they want. But I never got a bill until the 2 times that I got the first bill when I came up and paid what I felt I owed, and then, but the renter is the one that hand delivered it to me. As of this month's bill for September, it was hand delivered by the renter to me again because the bill is still being sent to my rental location, not to my home address. So that's why I'm here to ask if something more could be done toward this bill. Alvin and I are not in the habit of not paying a bill when it's due. I think all of you know that. So that's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And thank
Now,
you all for letting me speak tonight.
Do you all have questions for Miss Marilyn at this point? Okay. Miss Keisha, where's the bill being sent to?
On the application, it's got the bill going to 2722 Highway 98 West.
For the lady that lived there, she's been gone about a year now.
No, I think the 2722, is that your house?
It is.
Address?
Uh-huh.
But you haven't been
And-
sent there.
No, I got 2 copies of my bill. The one I just got yesterday, hand delivered from Mr. Fields that lives there now.
And is it going to the 208?
Yes, it is.
Do you have it with you?
Yes, I do. And the other one last month went to the same location.
Yeah, it's got the 208 West 4th Street on there.
And this one was, those are the only 2 bills that I ever saw.
And is it because you've got a new tenant in there and they came and applied for water and they gave the 208 address?
No, this is my account right here. This water bill is in my name, in my account. He has his own account. But when you put this in his mailbox, he brings it to me and puts it in my mailbox where I live.
Okay. So you pay the water there and,
No, I pay my water bill when I did the work on it. See, there was a lot of damage to this house because she had animals, and Alvin had to take the whole floor up and put a new floor in. So he worked on it from March until we rented it in July. Because with the other house we were working on, we were up there 7 months working on it.
And I did notice that you all had been doing some work on it, like I think y'all replaced the deck on it.
We did.
Did y'all apply for any building permits?
Well, we didn't replace the deck this year.
Uh-huh,
We just pressure washed it.
okay. And on any interior work, did y'all apply for any building permits or anything?
To do the floor work,
Uh-huh.
no, we did not.
Okay. But I just don't understand how, I'm not understanding how the bill where is the bill going? I mean, why does the bill go to your house, or why does the,
Because I came and when Marcia Linton moved, she paid her bill.
okay,
I came and had the service turned on in my name, so we could
Okay.
clean and do the work
uh-huh.
and
all right.
pressure wash the house because she had not done any of the, maintenance on the outside. Of course, we're the landlord, so we have to take care of that. So the bill was actually in my name, but I had filled out the application and paid my $150 deposit
Okay,
so that it would come to my house on 98.
all right.
But it has not. It's been going, I guess, all the time, and that's why it accumulated. I didn't know that there was a bill. I thought you were taking it from my deposit.
Okay. Now, I understand a little better. Do y'all understand, she opened an account in her name so that they could do work on the property. And then, knowing that they had a water, an account, they didn't check up on it, is the way I see it. I mean, if I'm getting electric bill and I'm getting electric every month and I don't get an electric bill after a few months, I better call and check. They may cut it off. I'm surprised that your water didn't get cut off or not. Maybe it was because it had no usage.
No usage for like 7 months. And then in March, we started working on it, and there was usage there.
Yes, I noticed that.
But I just, like I said, I thought that was coming from my $150 deposit. I didn't realize that you had sewer and water.
Yeah.
Living out on 98, we have a deep well,
Right.
so we don't have that.
Yeah. So you have base pay for both, and then whatever water you use, you get charged that same amount.
Yes.
Yeah, sewer. So, I mean, they had an account, they opened an account, they know they have an account. Even if we have snowbirds that miss coming down there 6 months and they have an account, they still have to pay their base rate,
Still have to pay their minimum.
Right, ongoing. I mean, I would suggest, but you all let me know too what you think, but I'll just make a suggestion that we remove the late fees and ask them to pay their base rate for the months that they've had the account open and their water usage, and remove the late fees. Because they did open an account and they were aware. Now, what about their deposit, Ms. Keisha?
The deposit was applied to the account when it was turned off for non-payment.
Okay, so some of that amount has been reduced.
Yeah, the 150 was applied to the bill. That's why it went from 640 to 496.
Well, then I paid, last month I came in and paid.
Right, and we don't have that on here. We just show.
Oh.
Right, when I printed it out for the agenda.
Okay.
We didn't have it that yet.
Okay.
Can that be recalculated to remove the late fees and then apply the 150? And that would help reduce it a little bit.
Right, well, even if it does, if we reverse all the late fees, then it'll give them a credit. And it's a
Okay,
little bit more.
all right.
Correct.
Because the late fees don't charge like they used to. They used to be 10% of the balance. But it doesn't do that anymore. It's just 10% of that month's bill.
Okay,
So it doesn't go, so it's not, the late fees have changed
with the new
with the
software.
new software.
Well, yes, that bill would be out of this world if it was 10% of the
The whole
ongoing
bill.
balance.
Right.
So, do the commissioners have any other ideas or suggestions here? We're not known to excuse water, all of the water bills. I have been told we rule with a firm hand regarding water bills. We don't generally, we have not in years excused an entire water bill.
Well,
So-
in lieu of the past practices that the city has taken since I've been on this board, I think it's kind of customary, and staff has talked about it, and I have talked about it, is to forgive the late fees and bring the bill up to current payment, which is their minimal.
Their
If
base
it-
rate.
Base rate, whatever it is, or any usage, but she says there's been no usage, so it'd be just the base rate.
Now, they did have a little usage of the past 6 months, but
And
not
if they
much.
had usage,
Like
that's a big
3,000
part of it.
gallons, not
Yeah.
much. All right, do we want to have a motion for that?
I did.
Okay, all right, so, okay, we have that motion by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Mathis, to just remove the late fees and let the remainder of the base rate and all the usage apply. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming forward. All right, item 4, we have under new business, a discussion and possible action regarding Krisner Group response to request for proposal for development of a minimum wage implementation plan.
Mayor,
Yes,
before we get into that, could I make one other comment to Mr.
certainly,
Alvin?
certainly.
Mr. Morris? If you're not renting your place, I guess staff should be informed where your minimum bills will come to you guys.
See, it was supposed to be, that's what they had our address
Yeah.
down to me.
Yeah.
When I filled out
But
the
if
application.
you miss it, if you miss your bill, which you know you should get one at the month, just make sure that staff's sending it to
Okay.
you.
Yeah, check up on it.
Yeah.
And,
We
and,
was working 12 hours a day in
Yeah.
Carrabelle every day, and so Carrabelle was the last thing on our mind.
Well,
Gotcha.
and I knew I wasn't getting a bill, but I
And
thought,
just for future reference too, we do offer auto drafts so that, you know, it
Yeah.
automatically drafts out.
Good comment. Yeah.
pay by credit card online.
well, I knew I wasn't getting a bill, but like I said, I didn't realize that it was that extended amount, you know, each month. I thought, well, the water bill, you know, about $18. Well, it wasn't $18, it was more. And then sewer. Well, now, let me ask a question. On the sewer, on when there wasn't any usage with the water, do you still have to pay sewer?
The base
You
rate,
do?
yes, ma'am.
Because it's there.
Yes.
Okay,
And then if you use it, then it's based off your water usage.
usage, yeah,
On
Wa-
top of the base rate.
yeah.
Water is very valuable.
Yes, it is, unless we get it from the sky. And you kind of get tired of it after a while.
All right, y'all have a good
We
evening.
disagree.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I'll read.
Excuse me, I just
That's all
wanted to-
right,
yep.
it's good.
Okay.
And they're good, so I'll read that item again, and it's item 4, under new business, discussion and possible action regarding the Krisner Group response to request for proposal of, for development of a minimum wage implementation plan. And they did, Courtney's reached out to,
I reached out to Evergreen and to the Krisner Group, and we only received one proposal back. We didn't get anything from Evergreen. The proposal we got was for the Krisner Group. And you're saying, using the deliverables from the study, that we should be able to establish an employee compensation and system that meets the following goals. Establishes fair and equitable compensation relationships within the organization, relates compensation to years of service within the organization, as well as relevant market conditions outside of the organization, is applied organization-wide professionally, consistently, and objectively, and is easily maintainable after implementation in a manner that preserves and enhances the integrity and validity and reliability of the system. So that's the goals that they're saying that this plan would meet. They have, I sent this out to everyone, so they have listed here their scope of services and their procedures and deliverables, and they are giving us a cost of $5,200.
and I have a couple of comments as usual. They say that their program is designed, of course, to attract and retain motivated talent while being sensitive to the long-term financial goals of the city of Carrabelle. I'm not, myself, our financial goals change almost daily, and they certainly change yearly according to, our revenues are almost, a lot of the major portion of our revenues are based on property values. So I don't know how they would know what our long-term financial goals are. They also said that they will provide a comprehensive compensation review and report. And they completed I think that this lady that wrote this letter, Miss Joyce, she probably didn't know that the Krisner Group has recently completed a comprehensive compensation review and report last year, the spring of 2020, and the city paid $4,000 for that. And I would like for them to use that report. Now, we did, if we agreed to have them do this study for us. We have already approved as I mentioned, the $1. Well, we have not approved it. We've agreed in principle. It won't be approved till we adopt the budget, $1 an hour. So they could easily add that $1 an hour to everyone's salaries. And I will say I hesitate to have a study done like this, because once we have that and it's printed out, sometimes staff members, with all due respect, they feel like that this is the wage I'm going to be getting this year. This is the wage I'm going to get next year. Our past chief felt like that when he saw what the report said, and he had hurt feelings that we didn't give him that wage. Well, our revenues doesn't allow, and it even states in their reports that every organization is unique, and we're unique, and we're unique and different from even other municipalities. And some years our revenues don't allow for certain projects or wage increases or as such. So that's the only hesitation. I would suggest that Ms. Courtney go back and remind them that we have a comprehensive compensation review and report, and to see if they would like to revise their, if the commission wants to move forward with this, with their minimum wage implementation plan.
I would like to add one thing to that.
Okay.
I agree with what you said, that if we do already have a comprehensive report, we don't need one on top of the other one, or pay for one on top of the other one. And let Courtney, our city administrator, go back to them and have more further discussions. And I would also, what I wanted to add to that is I listened to the counties that Evergreen gave. And I was I kind of liked what I heard, the way it was presented. I don't know all their details. And I would kind of like for Courtney to do a little bit of communications with the county and find out exactly what theirs consisted of, and more information where we can see where we need to go. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did listen to that as well, and I was impressed. I'm disappointed that Evergreen did not respond, because I would like to hear what their proposal, their scope of services would be for us. So, and this would be the county's plan that was submitted. That's public record. We should be able to take a look at that and see. You know, who knows, we might be able to develop something ourselves even. But
a lot of what I heard presented, and I didn't get the full plate of it, was very similar to what Krisner Group has done. But I felt like that the way I heard it presented was more concentrated directly to Franklin County and not to some of these places that have a whole lot more money than we do.
yeah,
And I guess that's where I'm trying to go with that.
okay.
And maybe we want to find out more information before we contract with whomever to give us a study. Now, I'm still interested in that research because of this wage increases. I still think that's a good thing for us to do. But I would like to have a little more information on it, and I think that would be great to do.
And we need to know how others are increasing their wages commensurate with the
Right.
minimum wage. We know we can't have a police officer making $16.60 an hour and hire in someone brand new with absolutely no experience, say, in the janitorial side, to make $15 an hour. We know we can't do that. And
No, and the other thing I heard with theirs, and I won't pick out any particular position with the county, is I heard during their study and their report that some of their employees were already above. They found that some of the county employees was already above what they were recommending, and they were not recommending the same increases. They were putting them
Okay.
all together.
Uh-huh.
But some of the county employees was already way above where they expected them to be. I'll put it
Okay,
that
so
way.
then they
Yeah.
didn't need necessarily that to be
To
commensurate.
give everybody, that's
Yes,
right.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that could be here, but I think I remember from our report that we were generally, we met the median group, that we were right in line with the other areas.
That's
But
right.
I need to go back and take a look at it, but I do remember the one that I mentioned earlier, because he
That's right.
had voiced it. And I think that was the only one that was a little bit different.
So
So,
what I'd like to see us do tonight on this is to further research it, get more information, and then make our decision.
okay, and that's good. I agree with that, because we're not prepared. We have already spent some items or approved items in this fiscal year that were not on the budget, and to me, we've approved enough items already that, like the fireworks and the canine dog and whatever else. I mean, there's a small list of 5 or 7 of them, and I really rather not approve anything like this in this budget year, but at least wait till next budget year. And we do know if we do it, we have funding in the consultation budget line item.
Or if we go further into our budget year and we see we're ready to do it and we have the funding to do it, we pursue it.
That's a good idea. So who's making the motion on this one?
I just
I think
did.
Mr.
Okay,
Tony is.
all right. So, okay, we have that motion by Commissioner Melander to do some further research and to reach out to the county for their information on their minimum wage implementation. And do we have a second?
I do too.
You second as well? Okay. Okay, and that's by Commissioner Melander and second by Commissioner Allen. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Oh, right, and that motion carries. All right, that's good. Okay, here we are under new business still. Item 5, discussion and possible action regarding increase of water and sewer tap fees inside and outside the city limits. And we've had a little bit of communication with the water and sewer superintendent, and you know, he spoke to all of us during the workshop, which was very informative. And Ms. Courtney, do you have anything to add other than what we discussed today?
No, other than his recommendation was the $600 for the inside city rates for water and sewer, and $800 for outside city, not rates, but tap fees.
Tap fees. So, and I just made a little chart here for public record. The water tap fee increase of $600 inside the city limits would go from what it current now is $1,250 to $1,850. Sewer tap fee increase of $600 inside the city limits would go from $3,360 to $3,960. Our outside city limits water tap fee increase of $800 is recommended would go from $1,375 to $2,175. And the sewer tap fee increase of $800 would go from $3,360 to $4,160. And Courtney and I did reach out to some water service districts, Alligator Point, East Point Water and Sewer, Water Management Services. Water Management Services has a minimum water tap fee of $5,481. And over that, their water tap fees are based on the gallons per day sewer permit that they get from the, I don't know who they get that from, the state, I guess, their water management district. And then Sop Choppy has something that's very interesting. They're about to adopt an ordinance with some new, Courtney reached out to Sop Choppy, new sewer and water tap fees, but they also have a meter set fee. And when they add in their meter set fees, that brings their water and sewer tap fees way above ours. I think the only one we found out of all of these was Panacea, which was lower, but the others are already higher than ours are, even with this increase. Is that what you can see, Ms. Courtney?
Yeah, pretty much.
We have Alligator Point, East Point,
I noticed
Water
that
Management,
Panacea
Sop
has
Choppy.
Sewer, but they don't have any sewer tap fees.
I beg your pardon?
Panacea has sewer, but no sewer tap fees.
Yeah, do you,
So they have sewer rates, but they're not
Uh-huh.
charging a tap.
I don't know, I really couldn't understand. Panacea's rates are so low, I'm not understanding what's going on over there, how they pay their bills. So, anyway, that's what we have from Mr. Charlie Painter is increase of 600 on both tap fees inside the city limits, 800 outside the city limits for water and sewer tap fees.
Make a motion to approve those.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Now, at this point, it's just to approve to move forward to have Dan, he has to change the ordinance and it has to have 2 readings and it's not a done deal.
Mhm.
Let me ask a question.
Okay, all right, so
Just-
we have the motion by Commissioner Mathis, second by Commissioner Brown to move forward with amending the ordinance to increase tap fees. Discussion.
Yeah, just one quick question
Okay.
to make sure I understand. It's a clarification. With the proposed increases that Charlie has proposed, you're saying we still will be cheaper than these other adjoining entities,
Except for Panacea.
except for Panacea?
We didn't check with Lanark because they're not in operation. Well, excuse me, I
Well,
don't even
yes,
know
they
what I'm
are.
thinking.
We're doing it.
I'm thinking of the fire department. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's bedtime. And it's only 7 o'clock. But the fire department is not in operation over there.
Well, let's just say at Panacea right now, they have $1,100 tap fee for a 3/4 inch meter, but they also have a $400 meter fee. So right now they're at $1,500 and that's over what we are now. Now with the $600 increase, it'll put us a little bit higher, but even now they're higher than what we are. And that's even in Panacea. Sop Choppy, they charge $1,975 for a residential 5/8 meter. But then they also have a new meter fee of $800. So $1,975 plus $800 is their water tap fee. Let's see, I can get you.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I said, Alligator Point's total connection fee for water inside their district's $4,000, outside their district's $5,000. East Point, their water fee's fairly low. They're at $1,500 inside the district and $1,960 outside the district. But their sewer tap fee is $2,575 plus a $2,000 for half the pit charge. So, you know, they're paying $45.75 for a sewer tap. Although their water's a little lower than what we would be, their sewer tap's quite a bit higher.
And then on the outside of their district, on the outside of the district, their sewer tap fee is $3,605 and still a $2,000 half
You're
pit charge.
$56.05 on a sewer tap.
And so that's something interesting as well. Sop Choppy's charging a fee to set the meter, and then East Point Water and Sewer District's charging half of a pit charge.
And Sop Choppy also charges a set meter fee.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mr. Charlie thinks with these recommended increases, we're gonna need to increase again in 2 years, or, you know?
I don't think so.
Did Sop Choppy adopt the sewage system? I thought it was county.
It does, Sop Choppy doesn't have sewage, they just have
Okay,
water.
all right.
But this is, interesting because she comes back and she says, these rates, they're supposed to adopt them this month, so these are their new rates. Also, the rates that Panacea had were their 2021 rates, so they've just adopted new rates as well. So it does look like other systems are adopting new rates.
Are our rates posted on the website? I know it, I don't, I should know, but it's hard to remember everything. And I will say that most all of these water utility companies have their rates posted on their website. So if not, we should probably, once we make the amendment, do that. And then I got a notice today that the chief of hunting's name is still on our city's website. So we like to gather up a bunch of things that need to be corrected on the website and send them all together in a bulk. All right, so is there any further? Yes, Mr. Hartman.
Just ask one question is, understanding no problem, I've done these ordinances on rates and tap fees before charges. Or how close are we to any sort of rate increase or not?
Florida Rural Water's working on doing I'm not sure that it's a rate study, but they're looking at our rates as part of our DEP grant loan that we're doing at Lighthouse to make sure that we're in line and that we're charging what we need to be charging. They should be, they said that they would provide us a recommendation on what our rates should be and where we need to go over the next couple of years. Now, that's not the same thing as hiring a firm to do a rate study. So
The reason I'm asking is just potentially avoid the need for two ordinances. Not that that's a big problem, but typically, they'll go hand in hand, right? Tap fees will go along with the increase in rates, and we do have, I mean, obviously, we don't want to add to people's financial pressure, but there is
The
inflation.
problem right now is the taps are costing more than, we're spending more than we're getting in, so it is kind of a rush
When-
right now.
when we did the budget, we realized that we're spending as much money, all the supplies that he's using, the copper and the brass and the pieces the prices have went up and our tap fees haven't went up, so we're just breaking even. We're not making-
Barely.
And
barely
I guess what I'm
breaking
saying
even.
is that applies to our rates also, right? I mean, just maintenance at the plant, keeping everything going that's part of it. Chemicals and power, and we're paying all that, so, and I assume that's what rural water's looking at. Maybe push them for an answer, and I can,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, what the timing was on that report from rural water.
I don't know that.
And it could be possible to let's get these accounts rolling out here at Lighthouse Estate, see how many accounts we have, what we're expecting in for revenues. That's a new revenue source for the water and sewer, but of course we'll have to produce, water and sewer. And then have Florida Rural Water do a rate study that includes the entire system that we're about to embark upon. But, yes, sir. Okay.
I'll just make a quick comment that as part of the applications that we submitted for the Lighthouse funding, we did look at those rates in relation to the revenue and growth factors over those initial years, plus a contingency amount, and based on, if you want to call it the study that we did as part of that application process, it did show that rates were adequate to cover the debt service, plus a reserve amount. So I would be interested to see what the Florida Rural Water develops also in comparison to
They've been working on it
our
for quite a
report.
while. They had actually sent a guy down in the field, and he went out with Charlie, and they graphed all of the manholes and lift stations and everything, and they mapped all that out. And then Miranda was working with a lady on the finance part, and that just kind of slowed down during COVID. But they were here a couple months ago going over some stuff, so I think that they should be fairly close to the end of it, but I don't know where we're at.
Okay. Well, that sounds similar to the effort that we did as part of the application process.
Yes, it does.
Mr. Ron McNally, that was with the city of Appalachia, is now with Florida Rural Water, and he's working on this.
I see.
Maybe, either through, maybe, can you share your work product with Courtney? And then
Absolutely.
share her water?
Absolutely.
I think we have that.
Yeah.
We have all that.
Okay.
Well, we would like to move forward with this. I wouldn't want to push it out too long.
Right, because there's a lot of building going on right now.
Yeah, Mr. Hartman. I mean, if, I think what,
I'll move that, we'll get the ordinance done and.
okay. I think our goal was to initiate this like January the 1st.
No problem. I'll
Okay.
get that'll be ready for the next meeting.
That we know, knowing that we have to have 2 meetings and have good public notice, and it would be effective January the 1st.
Perfect.
Okay.
Is that, you want me to put that effective date in January?
Is that all right with the
Soon as
commission?
possible.
I think that's a good, start date. Okay. And we had talked about that with Charlie, and he gave us a nod. So, all right, so we have the motion then to approve to move forward with an ordinance to amend the tap fees, or amend the ordinance regarding the tap fees by Commissioner Mathis, second by Commissioner Brown. Any more discussion? That was good discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, and then we will move on to old business. Item number 1, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed personnel policy recommendations from the Krisner Group, and I will turn this over to Ms. Courtney.
Back in 2020, the Krisner Group provided us with an audit report. Let's see what the name of this audit report. It was an audit report for employment law audit report, and it gave some recommendations, but mostly down, what we're looking at is down at page 16, about halfway through the report or towards the end of the report. They give recommendations for things that they believe should be added to the employee handbook, different policies and procedures. And so they've suggested a sexual harassment policy, a volunteer time off policy, religious expression and accommodations, self-reporting of arrest and convictions policy, a paid time off policy, a use of employee photo, likeness, and voice, workplace conflict policy, benefits continuation during unpaid leave of absence policy, and a social media policy. So I've reviewed all these policies, and there's 3. The 2 that we did not include into the personnel policy was the paid time off policy. We already have paid time off policy. It's already in the employee, it's already in the handbook. It talks about how many hours that each employee earns in their tenure here, how it goes up. So that this policy that they presented us doesn't fit into what we already do. And what we already do is already in the policy. And then the volunteer time off policy, we didn't include. We don't feel like we have an issue with the volunteer time off. They're suggesting I'm giving 8 hours. It doesn't say if that's a month, a year, or what it is, but we're already have a skeleton crew and can't afford to tell our employees, let's take 8 hours to go fix the road or do volunteer, but we do have employees that are volunteers, such as the fire department, and they do use that, they take time and they go fight fires, but we don't have an issue. It's not being abused, and so we didn't include that. The third policy we did include was a social media policy. However, we did not use the one that they provided. We used the one that we adopted back a couple of months ago. So I just took their policies, their recommendations, copy and pasted it into our personnel policy word for word, so I haven't changed any of the wording or anything. And we added it to the personnel policy. So I sent it out. Everything that was highlighted in yellow were the new additions, and everything was their suggestions other than the 3 that I've mentioned.
And then their suggestion also was to add an organizational chart.
And I have one
Okay.
that I include. It's a different program, so it doesn't include in here, but I have it printed out in a printed copy.
Okay. All right. And
We
thank you.
use, we use the organizational charts in PowerPoint.
Uh-huh.
So I print it and I put it in each printed copy, but it's not in the,
Okay. All right. Thank you for reviewing all of that. And you did change some of where it said organization, you changed.
we did change it. It said organization and we changed that to the city or the city of Carrabelle so that it fit us and wasn't for the organization of.
So basically, you used all of the items, all of the recommendations except for 3, the volunteer time off, paid time off, because we've already got that tailored to what the city of
Correct.
Carrabelle does. And then the social media policy, which we've already adopted one that was tailored to fit the city of Carrabelle.
And we used ours instead of theirs.
Yes, okay. All
I'm gonna-
right.
I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the city administrator's recommendation on adopting these policies as recommended by the Krisner Group.
Okay, we have that motion by Commissioner Melander. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, and we have a second by Commissioner Mathis to accept these personnel policy recommendations as presented by the city administrator. Is there any other discussion?
I had some questions. I went through it. I tried to go through it pretty well. It's pretty long. But there were a couple things that I don't think we're doing, and one is the, I'm trying to find it, but it's so long. It's the quarterly
Employee of the quarter.
employee of the quarter. We haven't been doing that, but it's in our policy.
Uh-huh, in our policy.
Should,
Mhm.
would this be a time to discuss taking it out or continue implementing it, or?
And this is like the star employee
Employee
of
of
the
the
quarter. You know,
quarter,
it's just
and
something that.
They
probably-
received a certificate and $50.
Oh, it says
Yeah.
They did it for a while, I think. Every employee got it at least once, and then it kind of,
Felt behind, yeah.
And there was something else similar, I wanna say, I'm trying to find it. But they just were things we weren't doing, so it's either like, keep doing them or take it out, you know? Cause they have money involved.
Yeah, they do have money involved. Did you notice anything else, Commissioner Brown?
I think, I'm trying to find it, I took some notes, but I didn't take very good
there
ones.
was lots of corrections that, there were indentions and spaces and
This one was
corrections.
one of those type of, like employee benefit things that I didn't think we were doing. I'm trying to find it. Military. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's long.
And the employee of the quarter, that's a good motivational
Oh, the,
thing to have, but
nope, that's,
it's whether or not it can be done. Sometimes it just slips by, and then another time slips by, and they're all employees of the quarter. They're all employees of the month.
are
So-
we still doing the, incentive leave?
Yes, we do that.
We are doing that, okay. That might have been
I
it.
think that's if they don't miss any sick days, if they don't use any sick days during the year, then
And
they
Miranda
get.
does that once a year, at the end of the year. There's not many that
Yeah.
get it,
Don't
Yeah.
use anything.
It shouldn't be hard.
especially us Wakitas.
There's a couple though, and they keep up with it.
That might have been it. That was the employee of the quarter. So that's the one I emailed you about. I
So
just-
are you asking then
I
if,
just
do we
feel
want
like
to?
if it's in our handbook saying that this is what we're doing, we should either do it, but if we're not, we should take it out.
What do we think, Commission?
Well, I like just, I like the option of it being in there as a motivational tool on your specific item that you mentioned, on the quarter, the employee of the quarter or the year or whatever, which you're saying is a quarter, and I'm not familiar, I haven't looked at that recently. But I like the idea of it being as an option to be able to be used in our policy in the event that we can afford to do that, or we see we need to do that. If you have an outstanding employee, let's recognize them. And just like the mayor said, they're all exceptional. They all do a great job.
And I can see it being
But-
motivational, but it also
Exactly.
causes an animosity between the employees because
But that's
sometimes,
just my opinion.
sometimes you give it to an employee and they don't, the other employees don't think that employee, or they did as good a job or better of a job, and
Right.
sometimes it causes more conflict than it does.
Take it out.
So, I mean,
Well,
I'm either way, I'm not saying get rid of it, but it goes both ways.
now Commissioner Mathis did the second. He suggests remove it.
We either remove it or we follow it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
If
saying.
it's a law, we go with it. Or we get rid of it.
If we want to implement it later, we could always do that, but if we're not going to, it's kind of a tease. You know?
Mr. Hartman, could this be just a little policy if we remove it out of the personnel policy? Could this be just a little program that we might do on the side?
In true lawyer fashion,
Mhm.
looking for the middle ground would be, now it could turn into, not for Courtney, but if we had a different, 100 years from now, a different administrator, they could repeatedly give it to the same employee, but you could find the middle ground of giving somebody, or the commission, say, the power to recognize an employee when they go above and beyond, up to 5 times a year, and do a certificate, give them $50. So make it a thing where someone, not a mandatory thing, but if someone shines, someone just shines during a hurricane or something else, you could
Optional, as
hook
I
them up.
just said. Yeah.
Make it optional, yeah.
Mhm.
Might, so an edit instead of a deletion or leaving it
Read that to
in. And
me.
it could be the director or the commission, you all decide that.
You want me to read you what it says?
Yes.
It says, every quarter, an outstanding employee of the quarter is selected. That employee is formally presented with a certificate of recognition for outstanding performance by the city commission and awarded an extra $50 in a paycheck he or she receives after being recognized out as the outstanding employee.
Employee of the quarter. So this could be at the discretion of the commission, but it could be maybe titled something else instead of employee of the quarter. It could be outstanding service by an employee and something like that.
Just outstanding employee?
Yeah, just to recognize outstanding employees who go above and beyond their job duties.
I mean, it would be hard right here to amend the wording.
Well, that's the reason why I was considering,
Mhm.
because I was used to doing, again, with the state. You have really exceptional employees that
Mhm.
do well on a daily basis, but outstanding was looking a little bit further
Mhm.
than that. Because there are times that an employee may do something that's very outstanding, and that tool's there as an option to recognize them for doing that. And that's the reason why I suggested optional. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter to me, but, because again, I think they all do a great job, but outstanding is just
Above and
another
beyond.
higher step.
Yeah, that's another top level.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be recognition of of outstanding employee
That's correct.
at the discretion of the commission.
Can we just take out of the quarter?
Yeah.
And not put a time limit on it, and it's just at our
Yeah, don't put a
discretion?
time limit. Mhm.
We can come up with some wording, I can send it over.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you like to amend your motion, Commissioner Melander, to contingent on the rewording of the employee of the quarter entry in the personnel policy?
That particular policy is already in our policy and procedure manual. It's not one recommended by the Krisner Group, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my motion was to accept recommendations of the Krisner Group.
Okay, all right.
As described by the city administrator.
Okay, then what we'll do is we're still in discussion, we'll have Ms. Brown make a
Do we
motion
need to vote on the
regarding
first
this
part and
amendment.
then- Okay.
Is that all right?
Fine with me.
Okay. All right, so we're going to, we have the motion then to accept the Krisner Group recommendations as presented by the city administrator from Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, so now we want to take up the item regarding Employee of the Quarter by Commissioner Brown. And you have a motion?
Motion to edit it, to take out the time frame of the quarter, and it just be outstanding employee to be awarded at the discretion of the commission.
Okay. And that motion is by Commissioner Brown. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
And second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. And so that's the last of our agenda items, and we have public comment, and this is the time where folks can comment on a non-agenda item or a non-action item, and the comment is up to a maximum of 3 minutes. So do we have anyone that wants to have a public comment? Ms. Keisha?
I've got John Walls with McKissick Beach.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. Welcome back, Mr. Frank. I hope this one goes a lot better than the first time I talked in front of you.
Okay,
I still feel it.
if you'll just speak your name
Okay.
for the record. Thank you,
John
sir.
Walls, I'm John Walls, and we live in Carrabelle Beach Drive in McKissick Beach.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here this evening to talk about a problem we're having in our neighborhood with vehicles driving across state-owned property leased to the city of Carrabelle in order to get to the beach itself in the bird nesting area. But let me just add a little something to this. The property at the east end of Carrabelle Beach Drive is owned by the Watkins Family Trust. You all know this. Until recently, that road was open, but in June of 2021, Ben Watkins closed that road to the point, which initially was a good thing because it cut down on traffic on our street and what have you. But unfortunately, the people who like to drive on the beach found ways to get to the beach through our yards. They started driving between our houses, get onto the state property and then over the dune. And so the neighborhood came together and we closed up all their access points that they created in our neighborhood. We put up cabling and posts and things like this. So that was good, except now, and you're probably aware of this because these same people have created a new access point at the end of Gulf Beach Drive, at the parking area. And they've done a lot of damage to the dunes down there, and they're continuing to come down there late at night. We don't see them, we just see the signs the next day. And, you know, the residents of the McKissick Beach neighborhood has underwritten out of our pockets the signage and the posts and things that we put up down there to stop people driving on the dunes and on the beach. And we've done a pretty good job on our end. But now we have a problem of an area that's outside of a neighborhood, and that's the end of the Gulf Beach Drive, the parking area. And that is state property, and it's leased to the city of Carrabelle. And so I'm here to ask for help in getting that under control. That's really that's all I've got to say. Actually, just we can't do anything about that. That's not in our neighborhood, basically. If it was in our backyard, we'd get out there and dig some holes and do something. But we need help from the city of Carrabelle to block the people going to the beach in cars and trucks and down to the point. And please, help us.
Okay, Ms. Courtney, you want to respond?
I have asked Dustin, I sent the chief out yesterday and he took a look at it and was looking at a location to maybe put in a surveillance camera, but the only locations right there at the end, there's 2 pine trees.
Pine tree, that's it. I can see
They
that.
said they'll take it.
Yeah.
They'll take it.
Somebody get a good
But
camera.
Dustin, I don't know if he did it, if he got to it today, but Dustin has been told to go down there and put 3 to 4 more posts in where they're, you know, block off where they're driving through there.
Okay. The problem is it's knee-deep in water there right now.
Yeah,
He
it's
might
gonna
not
be,
have got it today, but he's.
it's gonna be
It's
tough.
on his list and he
Yeah.
has that.
Okay.
And
Well-
then also, there's a sign out there, posted by the county, the county's ordinance that they would enforce because it's in the county, no driving on the beach. But it's kind of bent up, but just as a courtesy, if Streets and Roads could straighten that sign up, and then there's what I call wild palm trees, palmettos, growing up under it that's half blocking the sign, to cut that back too, so that sign
Yeah, that
is
sign's been
fully.
through a lot of hurricanes, just look a little beat up.
Yeah, so it's fully visible.
I will have
And-
them take care
Okay,
of that.
okay, thank you.
Well, anything you can do to help us out there, because, you know, they're destroying the point now. They're out there tearing it up again. And at least three trucks we know of locally. They come out there as a group, and they've actually been seen in our neighborhood. White Chevrolet truck, loud mufflers, standard issue for Carrabelle, so, but anyway, thank you.
Okay,
And also the
thank you.
chief, you know, if, I've discussed with the chief, if anybody in the neighborhood has surveillance cameras and, you know, we can get some footage and they can figure out who it is, then, you know, we can.
The word has got, we got a few of us have got some kind of camera. We've got a Ring doorbell camera, and you can see something go by, you know, but we've had one neighbor who's volunteered to buy a trail cam for the chief. He'll put it up
Well, he
somewhere.
has a trail cam, the problem is he doesn't have anywhere to put it, so.
No, right there, there is no good place right there,
Right.
unless you go out there every night at dark and put it up and come out, take it back in, but,
And if you're not careful, as he said, I use a lot of trail cams and they'll take them.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, buddy, they'll take
In
them.
a heartbeat,
Yep.
but, you know, on the other end, while the Watkins Road was open, that was a perfect spot, but now Ben Watkins has closed that road, and he's closed it because there were 6 lots down there, and 3 of them have been sold. And, that on the other side of Ben Watkins' house, and, that's a whole nother ballgame down there, but, that's what's going on, that's the reason he closed the road, because they're getting ready to build some houses down there.
Give you an example on Marine Street, a while back, Chief Huntings was here. Several years back, we had problems down there, and we went up that hole, way up there, and put the camera and turned it down. Courtney, you remember?
They got it anyway?
They went up there and tore that camera.
My goodness.
Well, we've got one volunteer in the neighborhood's already offered to buy the chief a camera, so.
So, yeah, if we have somewhere that we can put them that they're not seen and, you know, they
That-
don't know they're there, but if you have to put it out at the end where, you know,
Yeah.
where he
No,
said,
no,
you know,
you,
they just-
I spent a lot of time down there yesterday walking around. I couldn't figure out a single place you can put a camera safely. If you wanna keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is any one of the houses, camera could be put on?
We've got some neighbors who have cameras and they're recording some stuff. The lady at the very end of the street opposite from the Watkins house, she's had so much trouble down there, she's got cameras all over the place, around her house and all, but, I haven't gotten a response back from her yet, whether she's ever actually seen anything, and they're not going down there anymore. They're going down to the parking lot. Although they do come through the neighborhood and make the turn and all this kind of stuff, and spin their tires and
Let you know they're there.
just let us know it's there. And I stand on the porch and give them the stink eye, you know.
Get your gun and shoot them.
Oh, my goodness.
Can we strike that one?
Cut that part.
Shoot at him.
Well, Mr. Frank.
Yeah,
I
warning
put
shot.
number 1 buck in the first one, number 2 in the second, and number 3 in the third one. Thank you, folks. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, goodness. We got one more item. Adjourn. Okay.
That's Frank's.
Yeah.
Frank's job.
Okay, oh, is there any other public comment? Okay, Mr. Frank Mathis, Commissioner Frank Mathis, and we're glad you're back with us
Yes.
on board here, has made the motion to adjourn. And, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and that's, by Commissioner Brown. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. All right, thank you all, that was a good meeting.